Look, it's intimidating. It's intimidating going up against somebody like Steve Savage. Steve Savage is a killer. But when you're Butch Armstrong, you know, an opponent's an opponent. And the two of them are locking up. What? Like, you have to, there's no denying the credibility or the courage of Steve Savage either. I mean, to put out an open challenge means you're putting yourself in a whole world of danger with this Phoenix roster. And it also means that you have absolutely no time to prepare for your opponent or adjust your style to the opponent that you're going to be facing. But when you're throwing kicks like that, it doesn't matter who your opponent is, it's going to hurt. But Butch Armstrong is already back to his feet. Butch with an incredibly strong chop. I mean, we've seen Butch Armstrong's versatility even at our last show in Limerick. He was in the fatal 4-way for the Hard Knocks Hardcore Championship. You know, and we're seeing him take these kicks to the back. It's nothing new to Butch. He takes strikes, he takes it. That is what makes Butch Armstrong such a special wrestler. And you know, he's creative as well. He comes up with different ways of beating his opponent, as we saw in Limerick. And he's going to need that against Steve Savage. But what's interesting here is that we talk about a clash of styles and you know, speed versus strength, etc., etc. But these are two brawlers. These are two men who hit hard, get hit, and keep coming. These are two men who, you know, they're always up for it. Their styles match up very well, and it's very interesting to see which way this goes. Oh, and a stiff chop by Butch. Middle rope, knocking Steve Savage to the apron. You know, for Butch Armstrong, a win over Steve Savage shoots him up the Phoenix Wrestling food chain. But for Steve Savage, what this is about rebuilding. You know, he's just had a world title match and he lost, he came up short. You know, when you're in that situation, the goal from then on is to rebuild. That's not an easy thing to do. Not only physically do you have to come in after a war like that and then try and beat Butch Armstrong on zero notice, but you also have to rebuild yourself mentally. And dropping Butch Armstrong on the hardest part of the ring. I mean, we're talking about the physical toughness of Steve Savage, the mental toughness of Steve Savage, and the challenge of having to build himself back up. I mean, he's going to have to build himself back up with a win, and that's how you do it, you know, ruthlessness. That's the word that I would use to describe Steve Savage. It's the word I would use to describe Butch Armstrong. In fairness to Butch as well. These are two ruthless men. These are two men who are really as tough as nails. Will dish out all the punishment that they can, and they'll receive it, and they'll show no fear. They'll show no signs of weakness. And Butch Armstrong into the chairs. Oh my God. I'll let the fans speak for themselves. Holy shit is right. Steve Savage. I mean, damn, you know, that's like the entire circus factory brought to their feet. And you know, it just goes to show how much, even just in a regular singles match, how much is on the line for Steve Savage and Butch Armstrong. It's not a title fight, but it might as well be. I mean, you are taking on a top contender. You know, in the eyes of Steve Savage, he's taking on Butch Armstrong, somebody who's been building his way up to the top for a long time now. You know, in the eyes of Butch Armstrong, they're taking on Steve Savage, somebody who's been a mainstay here in Phoenix Wrestling for years, and somebody who really only the best can beat, and even then they struggle. And you're also, I mean, we talk about durability. It's easy to call anybody durable, but there's evidence in the case of Steve Savage when he came back from that torn meniscus and, you know, MCL, ACL injuries. Just, you know, Steve Savage has been through it all. But it's a testament to how badly he wants success in Phoenix Wrestling, how badly he wants gold, how much he's willing to put himself through to be thrown across those chairs and to already be not only back up on your feet, but to be, you know, on the upper end of this fight. Although you see Butch Armstrong fighting back on the top turnbuckle, and a headbutt Steve Savage sends Steve Savage down into the middle of the ring. What's Butch going for here? He's on the top turnbuckle, not an area you'd associate Butch with. And there is why Steve Savage just throwing him off the top. You know, what Steve Savage needs to do is, as good as it is that his emotion and his anger for LJ Cleary is fueling him through this fight. You know, he doesn't want this fight to go to waste. He wants to get a win here and not just you know, make his way closer to the championship, but also make his way closer to LJ Cleary. If he can beat, you know, this Butch Armstrong, full of fire, full of venom, then he will have all momentum in the world going into his fight against LJ Cleary. And he doesn't want to go in on a loss. What he doesn't want to do is get so emotionally invested in this fight that he makes mistakes. So far, it's evenly matched. You can't really say that Steve Savage has made a huge amount of mistakes thus far. Really, it's the strength and the moveset of Butch Armstrong, the work ethic that he's putting in, really to take advantage of this opportunity. And Butch going for a German in the middle of the ring. But Steve Savage, again, the emotion fueling him, straight back up to his feet. Butch is perplexed. How does somebody get up from a German suplex immediately? And now we see Steve Savage with a spinning heel kick to the ribs of Butch, and Butch is rocked. Butch could be out. 1, 2, and Butch Armstrong kicks out at 2. Savage, he's going to be wondering what's it going to take to put away Butch Armstrong. Throwing the forearms, spinning back fists, throwing everything he can. I'm going for a Falcon Arrow in the middle of the ring. And Butch kicks out a 1. And now Butch is full of adrenaline. And now Butch gets up to his feet after taking a devastating move. I mean, these are the fights that you come to see. Each man throwing their absolute best at the other. Stiff chops, stiff strikes, stiff slams, bodies being thrown onto chairs, onto ring aprons. I don't envy either of these men right now. And Steve Savage kicks out at 2. It really is impossible to call this one, and I've said that a lot tonight, but it really is impossible to call this one. The fans, I mean, you know, the fans are rooting for Butch. The reality is both of these men are incredibly likeable, very easy to root for, very easy to support because of how long they've been around and because of all the work they constantly put in. Butch Armstrong, for a lot of his Phoenix career, you have to remember, was a tag team competitor, be it with the Armstrongs or with the Resurgence. So for him, his singles career is still something that is yet to really take off to the main event. What's going on here? Oh! Off the top! Butch Armstrong! And I thought that was it. I thought he was going to beat Steve Savage there and then. I mean, this is just devastating. You can see the effects on the face of Butch and Steve Savage. Now they'll try and you know, play a brave face and you know, not show any pain, not show that it's hurting them. But you know that if they're in any way human, they really are feeling the effects of this war. That's what it is. The cutter by Steve Savage out of nowhere, catching Butch Armstrong, and Butch in the middle of the ring. Perhaps Steve Savage could have gone for a cover there. That could have been the better decision, maybe. But who am I to question Steve Savage? Steve Savage up off the top turnbuckle. What's he going for here? A senton off the top. And oh no, Butch counters it. And Butch gets it. Butch gets it. Well, Well, Butch Armstrong making a statement. That is unbelievable. That's so impressive. I can't explain to you how impressive that is. He took so much punishment in this match. Now, he dished it out in fairness to him, but he took a lot of punishment. And when all was said and done, he still had the wherewithal to identify an opportunity, identify an opening, turn Steve Savage on his shoulders off his own pin attempt, and I'm reluctant to say steal the win or sneak the win, because it is well deserved. I mean, stealing implies that he didn't deserve the win. He earned it fair and square, but it did really come out of nowhere. And Steve Savage, of course, showing his respect, showing his appreciation. And you wonder, what's next for Butch after that? Will Butch want a shot at the Hard Knocks Championship? Will Butch want world title opportunities? You know, it's